First off, real fun little fact. We were actually, round of applause, he actually made it.
All right.
Totally wasn't stalling or anything. But last year, there was an article in the, I believe it was the Baltimore Sun, that kind of covered BronyCon in a sense of negative light. In their defense, they did it the 1st of August, so they had no actual experience with it. It was really just the idea of BronyCon. But they mentioned us, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And then I read it, and I was like, oh, that's not so nice. So I thought before I start the next one, I should at least explain myself and say that what they were expecting from us, that's not what I'm going for at all. They apparently, we are trivializing the struggles that queer people go through in the coming out process, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sitting here trivializing any of this at all, okay? I can't even imagine how hard it is for people to do that. But to come and say that bronies actually don't have any problems with this is completely false, because there's been several cases of bullying and other things that have gone really dark really fast, and people assume things, and it just, depending on where you're from, some things can be stereotypical and it can get out of hand. So to say that some people, bronies, don't have problems coming out, that they're not scared of ridicule or anything like that, that's completely false. So this needs to be said sometimes. So they have a really bad light on that. So I just wanted to at least clarify for anyone that didn't quite get it. So enough with that. Let's move right into it. I'll go last. You guys go.
Okay. You can go first.
I'm Matt. This is my 3rd year at BronyCon. How y'all doing?
I'm Will. This is also my 3rd year at BronyCon. It's cool to see that we have at least doubled our attendance from last year. So
Double the room space.
Yeah. I live in Maryland, student at Towson University, and I'm a brony. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. My name's Chris. I guess I could be the ringleader of this little organization up here.
I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Yep.
Yeah, also 3rd year of BronyCon, 2nd year running a panel, so hopefully this will do just as good as last time. So.
Let's give it a second.
Oh, come on.
We'll clear up. For that.
I don't care about you, Internet. All right. So previously on coming out of the stable, really, we went over exactly what makes bronies awesome, and you can kind of see I kind of get a little collage of everything we did, but there's tons of charity work that we do. There's so much creative fandom. There's just the community itself is so welcoming and understanding. Just all you guys are awesome. All right, so seriously, there's always someone there. If you like this, you will find someone else who likes it too. You just kind of have to look,
Or you turn them into one, as is the case with me.
We touched upon how to really just kind of suck it up and just be tell somebody that you're a brony, right? And you got something?
Yeah. Well on your shirt.
Yeah, we talked about the different ways to do that. I should have put subtitles on this one, but pretty much, if you got a shirt, there's shirts out there that are very subtle about what it is. I love those because you wear those and anyone who doesn't know what it is doesn't get it, but you're kind of secretly telling people, and that really helps some people. That was how I actually started finding people. I had a Elements of Harmony shirt And I wear it around, and everyone's like, oh, that looks cool. What is it? Because it's a cool little design, But no one knows what it is unless if they're, like, part of the fandom, So, like, that's a really good way to get, like, a little group of people that you know in, like, your local area. And then once you get, like, a following, you're feeling better about it because you have a group, You're not alone anymore. Then you can really just kind of come in on your own and just, just be more open about it. Just pretty much, there's no reason to hide who you are. This is something that you enjoy, you really like, and a lot of people, it's like a core of yourself, You can't just refuse to accept that. It's a really good thing. Oh, and yes, awesome stories. So we'll get to that. If anyone's got like a really cool story they want to tell, we're going to do a whole Q&A at the end. So just,
I do.
So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm glad people enjoy that. Okay, so we're pretty much going to assume that if you're at a Brony convention, you should be at least basically comfortable in being a Brony at this point. So we're going to just kind of jump into like a lot of questions we had last year were about like, how do I get other people to try it out? So we're going to really focus more on that, like how to like ways of, maybe not tying them to a chair and making them watch a whole season, but at least try to get them to be like, watch a few episodes, right? So the first thing you have to do when coming into this is you have to realize that although it's a great show, My Little Pony is not something that everyone is going to like. Okay, coming in with that idea that it's like everyone must love this show, that turns a lot of people off because it just really gives them that kind of like fanatic feel to it, and that can really go negative for you. So try to at least be, you want to be really confident in it and be like, this is really cool, you got to check it out. It's like just up your alley, that kind of, really kind of egg them on, but at the same time, you don't want to twist their arm about it because there's a really fine line between getting interest and making them just really not like it anymore.
I mean, that's what happened with me. I mean, I had a guy I was working with, and he was a Brony, and this was before I was a Brony, and, I'd never seen the show, and I was just a generic hater. And he's like, you got to watch it, it's amazing. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it an episode. I watched 5 minutes, I was like, this isn't for me. And he was like, what? How is it not for you? It's amazing. And then, probably about a year later, I met this guy, and a while went by, and he says, I realized he was a Brony. I was like, well, what's the catch with this? And he says, anything you love, anything can be ponified. And I'm like, please. And he's like, okay, name something. And I think it was like Cowboy Bebop. And he showed me the opening ponified, and like pretty much like 5 other things as random as I could think, all had been ponified. And I was like, okay, there's got to be something to this. So then I sat, and it's not tying someone to a chair, it's one episode at a time. I think we watched the first 2 episodes, or maybe it was Party of One or something.
Party of One or Rainbow, I believe.
It was one of those 2. And then I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And then, stonewall effect from there. But, it's a dip in a toe into the water, not pushing them into the pool.
Yeah, if you want to just jump in there with that, that's cool.
Yeah, how I found about how I became a Brony was that I was on my laptop looking up on Meme Base, and I see under the new tabs My Little Brony. Well, I check it out, and I go, oh, this is interesting. And I watched.
This guy knows.
And it was the the Matrix where the 2 trucks collide and Rainbow Dash. That's how I first learned about it. Yep. And it was also time of Skyrim, so you had the Fluttershy that took sound effects, and they had the intro to it with My Little Pony sounds. The bucket slamming down. Yep.
Actually, I want to get a show of hands, like who had like a kind of experience like that where they're just on the internet and then just like found something like, what's this? It's good chunk of you guys, a little bit, okay.
10, 20.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, some of you guys find it that way, and that's a really good way. If you can find someone, I know a lot of my friends are like big internet, like I don't even know what you want to call them. They're internet people, But so they kind of do that. They see all sorts of stuff. So if you can like find interest that they like of that, and then find Pony, like it's a nice like middle zone because they're like, well, I like that already. And what they did with that was really cool. Like, so what's this side of it, So it's almost entrapment, really. Like, you want to try to get them interested in like a backhanded way.
Yeah.
You know.
A sneak attack.
That being said, I like using this method because everyone has like a way they're like, oh, this is how I got in. I want to do it the exact same way with people, but it doesn't work that way for everyone. Everyone's a little bit different. Everyone has different interests. And from what I've learned is like if you really know the person, especially if you're like friends already, you kind of know what that is. You know, you're like, oh, you're like a sports fan or something. And, you know, I don't know much about bona fide sports things. There's a little bit, but I don't know if there's enough. But, you know, if you could find something like that and then go from there instead of trying to do like meme-based. Some people don't like memes. I don't know why. But, you know, just find their hobbies or their interests and see if you can find something that they really like in there. And then just really go from that and then try to be like, well, you know, there's a whole show about this, you know. And the last piece there, that's more my personal preference. I like pulling from the first season to begin with. Because if everyone's like, oh, I want to show them, you know, like Discord and all that. Discord is an amazing episode, and John Delancey does great work. I really want to meet him. Like, I've been trying to get in, but too long lines, you know. But the thing about that whole those 2 episodes, the premiere, revolves around the characterization of the ponies. Like, you have to know who they are for you to really appreciate the fact that they're not who they are anymore. Like, the whole episode's about, like, oh, now they're, like, greedy, or, like, they're just mean now. That doesn't make sense to anyone who hasn't actually like, who Fluttershy is. Because you don't understand that she's, like, a really calm person. Now that she's just, like, trashing bushes and, like, throwing water pails on Twilight. Like, that's funny, but it doesn't hit people the same way because they don't know who that is. Like, the character development's not there for them. So personally, and I pull from first season because that really introduces all the characters already. And so you want to try to do that because it assumes that you're starting at the base. Like all the seasons afterwards build on that first season's characterization.
Caveat to that, I mean, if you're going with Discord and the person's a huge rock collector, they might like Tom. So just...
Okay, I redact everything I said. If they really like rocks, go straight for Tom because that'll get them sold already.
Rock, you are a rock.
From that point forward, they like the show now, right? You know, they're like, okay, I kind of like it. You know, I like this character, and like I really like Pinkie Pie. Certain, you know, everyone latches onto that one pony. Well, then there's so much fan work out there. There's music, art, animation, fan fictions, everything. You can find a whole world of just that one pony that they love and adore. And you can give them that expanded universe that everyone just like, it builds upon what's already in the show. And it's like a really nice thing. And like I said, it's a great way, like at the beginning, you're like, oh, well, you like this, bring in the pony part of it, find bona fide things so they get a feel for that. But the big rule, canon is greater than fanon. Because with fanon, you have to understand all the fan knowledge that goes with it. This picture right here, perfect example. If you notice that, that's like 15, 20 different like fan works. You know, the Lyra loves hands thing, no one will get that unless if they've seen Lyra sitting in the park bench. And it's like, well, now you have to understand that she, like, everyone's like, oh, she's like a human pony. She loves that kind of stuff. They don't get that. This would not be funny to anyone else outside that isn't in the know. You know, like the base canon, the Ruby Punch, and just, the background pony Applejack. So there's little jokes in there that all come from the show, but the thing is you need to have seen all that to get the context. Without context, it's not as entertaining. So you kind of have to find a nice, a middle ground on that where you use it to kind of bring them in, but then you have to be like, well, here's your like booklet on everything you need to know in order to enjoy this, you know.
And once again, I prefer spoon feeding because that's what he did with me rather than he was like, well, there's a lot of stuff you need to get to. We'll start one thing at a time. I mean, he just gave me, Past Sins on audiobook this summer, so that's been my summer reading, or listening rather. So, I mean, it's slow and gradual.
I got him in and I was like, I can't believe you never read Past Sins. He's like, what's Past Sins? Everyone should read this thing, I swear. If Pinstroke's actually here, if any of you guys actually saw him, he's the one who wrote it, by the way. Like, I geeked out when I saw him. It's pretty embarrassing, actually. But, like, there's I don't even know where I'm going with this now, but there's just really good stuff out there, and it's a nice expansion, I think.
Like Dot Mauve. I still enjoy it, Chris.
Okay, that's an acquired taste personally, but we're not going to touch on that. Missed the last point there, but I say the fan works really like ingrain a lasting interest in the fandom, because at the end of the day, there's big hiatuses, and there's just things like right now we're kind of in one, and it's like anyone who isn't introduced into like the fandom like that, the fan works and stuff, they don't know that there's all this other extra stuff out there. They're just sitting around for a few months. They're like, well, I don't have anything else. And that's when you start to just run dry and you kind of lose interest over time. You need something to carry you over in that. So fan stuff is a really great way to have that in-between hiatus time. So, make sure you check that out. Pretty much that's like the big chunks of it for me. I think that really just boils it down to like the key aspects of it. You really just kind of have to be confident in it. If you're not confident in what you're trying to tell them about this, if you're not really sold on it yourself, they're not going to get sold on it. You have to be the ones that are like, I like this. This is really worth checking out. Like, you have to be like 100% committed to even get them even remotely interested in it, because they'll notice if you're just kind of like just 50% on it or whatever. They're like, well, you're not really seem like you're too much into it. You just seem kind of like flaky on it. Why would I care if you're not really into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree, because whenever I was around you, it was 3,000 or so backgrounds on your computer, and since I lived with you, it was every day was something different. So then I'd ask him, what's that? And he says, let me give you a list, and you can read, watch, and listen to everything I have. I've yet to finish that list because it's ever growing. He does not shy that he's from a Brony, that he's a Brony, and we've, like, in college, we had plenty of people
Come
asking.
at me, let's go.
Like, they'd be like, oh, like for him, I really like that shirt. And he says, well, have you ever heard of a show called My Little Pony? And they're like, well, what's he talking about? And he says, well, I'm a Brony. And then, we've gotten a few people to watch, and some that have, it's not their thing, but they no longer are in the dark about what it is and have.
I actually have something on it.
Oh, okay.
They may say it's not for them, but I've yet to have someone who sees this and you actually bring them into it and they just say, I'm sticking with what I had before. It's horrible. It's just a kid's show. Like, they get into it and they're like, okay, I can respect it. I can see where this can get some things. Like, they understand. Like, it might not be their cup of tea, but you at least get understanding. And these people I know, like, I'm still friends with them and everything. They know what I am, and, they're just like, oh, yeah, you're that pony guy. But, like, they have a respect for it because I stuck to my guns, like, you're confident. You're like, this is, like, I like this. Like, if you're really into it like that and they see what it is and they understand it, like, they have a respect for someone who sticks to it like that. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've had them defend it on the side too. Someone like, what? And they're like, actually, no, it's a pretty cool thing. It's like not my thing, but I can see how people get into it. Like, so just even touching it, letting them understand what it is, like, they'll go on and, like, I guess raise awareness, I guess is the best way to put it. They're like, actually, no, it's not that bad. Like, they'll go and tell people, and maybe they'll make one out of someone else too. So just, if you find someone you think that's like, well, I could, they like the same things I like, so it seems like they'll like My Little Pony too, give it a shot, because the worst thing that can happen is they're just like, well, not really my thing. It's like, it doesn't affect you, but you may get another fan right there, and, making a fan, like, I can't get rid of him. He's following me everywhere to these things. It's like, once you pull him in, like, you're just kind of stuck together in the fandom because of just how it is. So you can make, like, one of the best friends out of it just because you introduce this to them. So.
And plus, if you bring them to a con, that was like the glue that set it all, because I was like, I knew him, but I didn't know any other Bronies. And when I came my first year and I saw everyone was so nice and, like, accepting, and we all have that bond over a show. that like you can make the most obscure reference and they're like, I get it. It kept me coming back for more for another 2 years and probably another however long I go. Several, I'm sure, at the very least, but
At least next one. I don't,
yeah, as long as it's in Baltimore.
I have a general idea what I'm going to do next panel, so I'm going to try to get in again. So.
That's right, we're coming back.
Can't get rid of us that easy. Like I said before, you definitely need to stick with them. You got it, because they're going to be reluctant to begin with. You're not going to find someone who's like, okay, like on the first incest, like you got to kind of, be like, hey, you want to check that out? And they're like, no, not really. Like, okay, wait a few days or whatever, and when they're just kind of, they don't have anything going on, be like, hey, you got like 30 minutes. You want to check this out real quick? Like, just kind of, don't sit there and like, just wear them out, But you definitely want to remind them, it's like, hey, what didn't I get? I think I want to bet or something like that. And that's how I got him to watch the first one. I was like, bet, you watch these 2 episodes and then I actually won. So that's how I got you into it. But like any kind of way that it's just.
Or you can braid them with picture comments and clips on Facebook. I see that works for him often as well. Anything and everything has a comment that'll be bona fide and be perfect for the situation. And if you're in the know, it's hilarious. If not, then you have to do more digging, and then it becomes hilarious. So.
And above all, like, relax, guys. Like when it's not the end of the world if they just don't want to. If you can't get them in, no big deal. Like you're already set. You found what you like, so just be cool with that. It's really just trying to find someone else who would also like that. That's not online. You want to try to find local people, right? Like that's what everyone wants. You want your little local meetup. So that's kind of what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, you're here, you're finding people here right now. Like, you're not alone. You just want to have in real life friends that do the same thing. So, just kind of go with it, but really it's not the end of the world if they don't want to partake in this particular pony stuff. So.
And if they try and heckle about it, you got to be confident and just not take it because, they're not worth it. I mean, I was the president of a fraternity, and you're like, and all of my brothers, they knew and they respected me, and like what happened with him, they backed me up. They're like, don't judge him if you don't know it. So, your real friends will stick to you and defend you no matter what. So.
That's very true. If they're going to sit there and give you a bunch of flack for that, they're not really your real friends. They're just hanging out for you for some other reason. So, like, the real friends will stick by you regardless of if they agree with it. So. Really, that's just how you have to take it, is like if you're going to sit there and do that, then why am I hanging out with you? Because I guarantee you'll find somebody. Someone will like this, and it's just a matter of time. So just take it easy, just kind of look around, get that shirt that some people recognize, and once you see them, be like, hey, we need to hang out sometime. And then that's right in there. That's how you find like that one. You just need that one, and then it just goes. So. I think
you got Q&A next.
Yep.
Yeah.
We actually have a Tumblr this year. I don't even know if those are cool anymore, but I figured if anyone actually has stuff they want to ask over an entire year, because that's a really long time. If anyone has anything else that they can't get to today, just check it out. I don't think we have anything up there. Did you get that shot of people?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to put that up there as like, look, we have people that actually, want to check this out.
You know what? While I'm thinking of it, I'm going to take a Snapchat so people believe me when I say,
oh,
What happened?
wow, smooth move, Chris. Your computer
I'm out of
died.
power.
But luckily, you got all the important stuff.
Yeah.
Did anyone not get that? No. Okay, it's coming out of the stable, all lowercase, all one word, .tumblr.com.
Don't forget the .com. It's very important for web addresses. We're working on that.
We'll have a .org, a .gov. We're working on, but for now.
Well, we won't have a Twitter.
That was it. Yes, all those, every single. We'll even get a .mlp.
Yeah. .edu would be very educational.
Yeah, it's educational, right? So yeah, so we're gonna start doing Q&A. If you got a story or if you have any like particular questions on like a tough nut to crack or anything at all you guys want to talk about, just raise your hand and we'll just start picking people out.
Oh, if they have a story.
Yeah,
Yeah, if y'all have a story you'd like to tell. Oh,
or a question?
question?
All right. Thank you, sir, for breaking the ice.
Yes, thank you.
So should I stand or sit or?
All right, whatever you feel like doing.
Come on,
Okay.
stand.
So yeah, I've got a bit of a story and then just a question. So all of my current friends right now I found through the fandom in one way or another. You know, recognizing shirts or seeing people online. My current girlfriend I met through the fandom. She can't be here sadly, but it's just when you take that leap to say, hey, yeah, I'm a brony, and I can like this show, and people who rebuke that and find it weird and like to tease you, even just like, yeah, no, I'm playing, you know, those kind of people aren't the kind of people you really want to spend your time with, you know? And it's just really definitely worth it, you know, if you're still keeping this inside and not wanting to share this, you know, it's definitely, I've made friendships stronger and I've made new ones, and it's awesome. Onto the question, so luckily I had parents that were very understanding of it, but I have this friend who, his parents don't exactly approve of the whole pony thing. They're pretty conservative, not gonna get into that, but do you have any advice for those people who are struggling at home, that they're not really allowed to express themselves? You know, that they're not allowed to go out and wear shirts or make brony friends because their parents just won't allow it at all.
I'd like to say that's a great question. Chris, you had a great answer, I know, for that before.
All right. I won't remember the exact wording last time, but like you said, conservative parents, see, I don't want to say anything then just assumes like, oh, this is exactly how you have to take care of it, because I don't know the home life, I don't know the people themselves, so I can't be like, do this, this will work for sure. But the way, just do it, okay. I promised myself I wouldn't do that up here, but I did, so. The hardest thing about that is that you have to understand that My Little Pony started as that really girly show back, you know, Generation 1 and everything. It was just to sell toys, it was not a good thing. And that's where most parents come from. They remember that. They remember that it was just the toys, it was really just frilly, there wasn't a lot to it. So they have a really bad first impression of it. And
I'd say try and maybe get them to watch an episode with you. I mean, because the morals in the show, I feel, overshadow, you know, the stereotype. Like, once you hear, like, you know, some of the lessons that you can learn, it's like, okay, there's actual substance to this. And, you know, it might align with their conservative values to an extent. And if that's harder to do, you know, try and just bring it up in conversation. You know, if they mention something, be like, you know, I learned about something similar to that from the show. Or, you know, if they met someone else that just so happened to be a brony, and, you know, they'd be like, well, they've been really supportive, or they're a really good friend and stuff.
okay, so I'm gonna build on that, because that's actually a really good point.
That's all I ever have.
So the morals in the story definitely pull it, and it's very good stuff. Like, depending on how it is, if the parents are like very like directly opposed to it, like they know and they're just like, there's no way I'm doing that. It's like, well, then at that point it's pretty much yes or no kind of thing. I think at that point you kind of have to just be like, well, at least watch like these two with me, so I can at least explain in some part like what it is, you know, because if they're really that opposed to it, like you can't really just be like, oh, well, you know, it's kind of like they're hitting you head on like that. You're gonna have to come right back and just be like, look, it's not what you think. It actually is really good, substantial, like morals and just like everything in it really works. And if they really, like you said, it could align with conservative ideals and things like that. A lot of it is really like that, so you need to find something like that to show them straight up, like right away, be like, that's not how it is, you have the wrong notion about it. And then from there, hopefully they're not stubborn and they're like, okay, I see what it is, and then they will concede to a certain point on it and be like, okay, I can understand that, and then you have some foothold with it, and then you can kind of like reel them in, so to speak, and just be like, well, that's not it, we also have like this really great like just like people in that are just so understanding, and it's just so great, and there's just everything that we, all the charity works that we do, like it's not like it's just a bunch of people in the basement like drawing ponies. There's a lot more to it than that. So, let them like just knock all their notions from the original series, like just be like, that's all wrong, this is how it is. And then once they see that it's different, like I said, I can't guarantee anything. People are not all the same, but I would hope that you would have a very good chance that they would at least understand in part where you're coming from. So, yes.
Hello?
There we
We can hear
go.
you.
Hi, I'm a conservative parent.
Hello, conservative parent.
I'm going to leave now, thank you.
Take a seat, young man. One of the young men's my son, on the left. He's a short one. I understand your question. I come from a very conservative background. I am a conservative. I'm a traditionalist, military person, came from a military family. So my son tells his mother first, because mom's easier than dad. And I had to look into it, because what's my first thought? What's wrong with my son? What's going on? I don't understand. You answered it beautifully. When I was your age, it was a show for little girls watched, and they bought all the paraphernalia, and so my son's watching it, and it's interesting. The show, I've watched a couple episodes. I'm not really into it. I'm sorry. I like Bugs Bunny. But I understand the meaning. I did some research. Internet's a wonderful tool. Encourage them to look it up. For me, stressing that there are different types of bronies. There are military bronies, there are Christian bronies, there are bronies of all types. So it's not just this one little unique quirk. And the words they used in that news article are really, I understand they're offensive because they are, but I'm surprised they printed them in today's environment. They're pigeonholing this group. It's a unique group, just like anything. I've actually been here for 3 BronyCons too, with our son. But explain, you're not going to convince everybody. Some people are closed-minded no matter what. We have that in everything society. Unfortunately, that's why we have people who do hate crimes, because they're narrow-minded. We have the same type of people who will stand up and preach against hate crimes and not try to understand this group. And that's ironic. But show them the episodes are a good way. Some episodes, like my son and my quasi-son over here, Josh, he lives at our house about every other weekend, our son's friend. They show me the episodes they know I'll relate to. Anything with Star Wars, Star Trek, that works. But Draconius, who I didn't watch an episode till this morning. Okay, I like that kind of character because that's me. I like that kind of, and I remember the name of a character. That's good. You got to try to relate. You got to try to persuade them, but you can't be too forceful. You've got some great points. You can't force someone to your point of view, but you can lay out a path where the other gentleman said a year later in time. You said at first you just didn't care for it. Later you did. Explain there's more out there than what they first believe is the only thing I can say. And if someone cares about you, if they love you, if you're a part of your life, they're going to try to understand it. They may not always agree with it. I do not want to watch My Little Pony all day. I'm sorry. It's just not me. But I respect the values of the show I truly do, because I try to live those values in my life and with my family. So I do understand that, and I think there's a lot of good points to it. And now, boring conservative dad will hand the mic back.
Thank you.
Please have a pair, because
Over
She
here.
has a question.
And one way, like if they're having conversation, someone's disagreeing, just remind them and be like, that's a valid concern. That's what I always use, and it opens it up quite a bit, and then you can try and dispel whatever that issue is to a degree.
Yeah, I want to draw on something he said also. When I was in college, I remember just vaguely hearing about this kid's show, My Little Pony, and I saw it one morning, and I was like, oh my goodness. That is a point that I have made with my son's stepfather and some other people who have said, he likes My Little Pony. He's 11 years old. He's a boy, all that stuff. I say, listen, those shows are awesomely written. They are high quality. The artwork is great. I mean, everything about the current My Little Pony is so different from anything that's come before. I mean, my son will put on a video of the early times to torture me. I'm like, please turn that off. But seriously, they teach, what we usually consider Judeo-Christian values in this country. We might want to change that to just more morality. They teach morality to kids and to, treat people the way you want to be treated. And if everybody could just live by the values that are found in My Little Pony, it'd be a lot better place. But my child has faced a lot of problems, people thinking there's something really weird about him. But people need to give My Little Pony a chance. I mean, I am not wild about watching 5 videos in a row, but he will save the Saturday morning new video, and we'll watch it maybe Sunday morning or Monday morning together. And I enjoy that greatly. It's a really cool show, and just stress to people, it's not your mother's or grandmother's My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's my new subtitle. I'm not sure if I'm
See, I was going to say that, and then I was like, I wasn't sure if the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyone else have any right there in the Dipper Pine hat?
Yep.
props for that, by the way.
Yeah.
What's your question, Dipper?
So actually, I'm from Brazil, and it's kind of difficult to find bronies in my city, especially in Brazil in general, because the voice acting there is horrible. And I have a really close friend who I really tried to convince him to watch it. And I showed him the first episode, but I actually only sent the link. He said that he watched it but didn't finish. And turns out later on he said that he didn't even touch the episode at all. Do you think I should try to show him again, or we're really close friends?
All right, well, I think if obviously the direct just watch this episode isn't working for him, so that's I probably wouldn't do that again. In fact, I would probably try to just bait him in a sense and find because you said find something that he really enjoys and almost guarantee there will be some kind of thing that is bona fide version of that.
Does he like anything, video games of any type?
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls?
A lot.
There's been a few Dark Souls crossovers like Princess Celestia and Soleil,
Yeah.
Praise in the Sun.
Yeah.
Try that.
So yeah, just try to find things like that, like Dark Souls. There are some out there.
Yeah.
That might be a little hard to find a huge amount for, just because of the
I tried
differences.
Derby Bow Route. I tried that website. You can find some Dark Souls crossovers. Skyrim, if he's into that. Mass Effect.
Yeah, like there's a lot of nice little gaming things.
Crossovers are your friend.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
If he goes even a little bit more classic in games somewhere, there's a lot of like reskinnings of those games.
Yeah.
Like you can find a whole thing just on that kind of like genre to just really kind of build on. So like if you start there and then just like, well, you know, like they did this and they kind of like updated it or something, try to get him to be like, oh, okay, you know, like so there's people in this that enjoy the same things I do. It's not just that, you know, and then try to, you know, start there and be like, well, you know, there's a show about this too, you know, like, so try to get him in from a different angle, I would say, because he's not at the point where he's like, well, I'll just watch the episode. You need to get at least a little bit of curiosity there, so you'd be like, okay, what's up with that? So yeah, like just find some stuff like that and try to just slowly get him into it like there.
And would you recommend me to, or anyone else, to try to get into something that the other person also likes to make her comfortable when she is about to watch the show? For me, in my case, I try to get into some things that he likes, like vine sauce and etc., to make him feel more comfortable. Do you think that's a good idea or not?
I'd say yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt. You know, definitely, you know, open them up a little bit. You know, don't be just like jump on them. Just be like, all right, show you this and this and this, and you know, try and you know get them a little relaxed. And oh, that sounds terrible, but you know, like get them open to the idea.
I would
of,
say like gauge interest on what you said.
Yeah.
So if he's like, oh, then you're like, all right. If he's just like, like then probably not from that. Like it's kind of touch and go, I guess.
yeah,
it really,
throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and then go from there. I mean,
Yeah, it's like when you're in college, if in physics you don't solve the hard problems, you learn the basics first. You want to wean into it,
yeah.
or lean into it.
and if his personality is a certain way, you could always try and find a certain episode that might touch on, you know, something that he might relate with. I mean, preferably a one-off. Like, you know, I think for me it was Lesson Zero was definitely one of the ones, and then that really got me because I am very organized and I could relate with it. So I was like, okay, I can see that there's
So yeah, if you can find, because that's another thing, everyone relates to a pony for one reason or another. They usually see themselves in one of them somewhere, and that's the thing. If you know, that's requires you to know this person pretty well. But if you know them to that extent, you can be like, well, you're like that. Like, so if you find one of those episodes where they're struggling with something that you know that they have like a pet peeve or something about, like, that can really get them in, because I'm like, well, that I totally relate to that, you know. And that's just kind of how it is. Like, he likes Pinky a lot because he's just that kind of like party, kind of just like, you know, really gets into it. He's that extrovert that really kind of likes that stuff. So he sees that kind of like the randomness and everything, and he sees that like as himself. So that's kind of like he pulls from that. So yeah, if you can find a pony that kind of connects to them in that way too, that's also a really nice way to get them like hooked on it. So.
And even if not hooked, at least to a mutual understanding that they can understand where you're coming from. So, not a problem.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, go right there, and then one guy over there.
Yeah, I was just wondering how many stories you've gotten about people who've been helped by the community to get out of the like bad depression funks or addictions.
We had quite a few last year. I know at the panel, like, you know, we had someone who was transgendered and they were dealing with a lot of stuff, and you know, we gave them some tips, and you know, they were seeking help, and you know, just reminding them that, you know, everyone around them here is probably some of the most supportive people I've ever met, and you know, lean on your fellow bronies. So
Yeah, we had a lot of stories like that last year, which, you know, if you guys have any of those you want to share or anything, you can do that too. It's not just questions.
I mean, personally,
it's
kind of helped me get out of a lot of crap in my life too. You know, just the whole community being there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. All right, we got one over there, and then we'll get you, and then.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, make sure the thing's working. So, from everybody's stories and everything, I'm going to tell you all, you guys are awesome for being here, because For me and him both, this is our first con ever. I actually convinced him to go. I'm a furry all the way through. I love you all. You guys are awesome. I've seen a lot of your stuff. And only an hour ago? Yeah, an hour ago. I was in my fursuit and just walking back to the hotel. Some person just came up to me and was like, "Hey, can we take a picture with you?" And I was like, oh, I don't know how to handle this part. And they was like, "No, just sit." And I was like, "Okay, fine." But it was like, this con's already helped me, I don't know, just self-confidence, I guess. Just, it's rung me up more. It's a nice thing for just getting out of the daily routine of what I do, which I sit on computer all day, just all the time modding stuff and just all this crap. And it's like, I can come here, see everyone with my eyes, and I know you aren't all just programs and just some random thing. It's a nice thing to actually be here and see people with your actual eyes for once.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Cool. Well, welcome to the con. I think we have time for one more. I guess. Yeah.
We got time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do I have a story to share about how I got my friend into ponies? Okay, so me and him were at a friend of his place, and we were scrolling through Netflix, watching, or finding something to watch, and it happened to just scroll across My Little Pony, and I told him, "Peter, I dare you to watch ponies." And I kind of showed it as a half serious, half joke type of thing, and he said, "Well, that's coming from out of left field for you, Kevin." I'm like, "Oh, no. See, just watch it. It's really, really good." So we get to at least the first episode, and he's desperately trying to hide his smile when the Giggle at the Ghostly song come up. It was hilarious. So by the end of the first few episodes, I take him home, and I tell him, "Well, what do you think?" I'm like, "I'm not really sure. Could you just not tell anyone that I saw that night?" Okay. So he watches some more, and eventually, after a while, me and his friend got him to admit that he was a brony, and now he's a big fan.
Nice. I think so. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Get the one more in?
Yeah. Of course, if anyone else wants to talk after the panel,
Yeah, we'll be up
we
here.
will be here
or,
all weekend.
Like I said, we have a Tumblr that no one's used, so you can be like the first guy. And, like I said, I'm going to be checking it. So.
So anyway, do you, have you ever, after watching, Little Shy FAM's, Everything Wrong With, wait, is he here right now? I don't want to get in trouble with him. Okay, he's not here. Anyway, after, do you ever blame, do you ever wonder why there are many mistakes of the MLP episodes after watching the Everything Wrong With by Little Shy FIM, or is it just, I don't know. I don't know.
Man, pretty much any of the episodes really for me. So, name a few. I mean, this used to be easy. There was only 3 seasons left.
Yeah, 3 seasons.
Put me on the spot now. Do you have anything? No?
All right, pretty much. I mean, I'm not caught up yet, so.
I don't have a comment at this time. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you.
Do we have time for another story? You guys good with that?
Do we? Oh, okay, go ahead.
It's probably like 10 minutes. So anyway, not too long ago, in Oak Ridge, I told my mother, not exactly told her, but I was thinking about telling my mother about is well, not telling my mother, but I actually asked my mother about let's see, what was it? It was about if I can go to the dancing thing, and my mother said something about it's only at nighttime, and I thought I had some very good dance moves, and besides, I wanted to see some cool Brony's reactors, like Brony Monster 44 and like sorry, and I thought, man, I got 2 more days to and so anyway, and by the time I go back to my dad's house, and I was like, I'm gonna be going to my dad's room, and I would be like, Dad, do I have a story to tell you? I mean, God, oh God, I'm shouting. So anyway, that's like that's my story, and some and I was thinking about creating an OC pony, and I just I don't know if that panel's, if it's almost time for that panel or something, but anyway, that's probably the that's my so-called fanfic, and like, man, I gotta write this down, and then hope I could see a little shy if I am sooner or later.
Thank you. I think
that's it, right?
that pretty much wraps us up.
Steve, something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks about
So,
all the time we got.
yeah, so I want to thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for coming down here.
Yeah. If you want to ask any questions or come and talk,
Yeah,
we'll
be
we'll
right
hang
down
around
here, so-
outside. or
Thank you for your questions, comments,
Yeah, thank
stories.
you.
Thank you very much.
Come back next year. I can't force you to, but I highly encourage it.